it feels like you are being or have been wronged, or that you have to make a point. There's a need to escalate, and you find yourself constantly reliving an experience, even feeling the same emotions, reliving mistakes and decisions, experiencing all the same emotions and feelings as the first time it happened in real life. Most think it doesn't happen to other people like it does to us, because there are times when the frequency and the intensity of the thoughts border on obsessive. Not a good word to have tagged to you normally. You're listening to the Unshackle Your Life podcast with Debbie Colburn, where breakthroughs happen, getting rid of all the hidden things that hold us back, things that scare us and challenge us, and things that we're just plain fed up with. We talk all things money and business, big and small. We dive deep. We get real and raw at discovering and exploring what is really possible for you and what's holding you back. If you've ever thought, it's not enough when you looked at your bank account or your credit card balance, maybe you're sick and tired of the endless struggle of just getting by, and you know you're missing out on opportunities that keep screaming out to you. It's a never-ending cycle of crisis to crisis, either in your personal life or your business or your relationships or all of them. Then this is exactly where you need to be. We'll bring you a whole new way to look at those challenges, share ideas, tips, and tactics, and get you connected to the resources that will unlock those golden handcuffs and release your unique abilities. No matter what's going on in your life, right now, maybe you're in survival mode, living day to day, paycheck to paycheck, or maybe things are good and you know they could be better. Maybe you're in a job or a career or running a business that is leaving you empty, depleted, uninspired, or anything in between. I've got your back. Ready? Buckle up, take a deep breath, and join me in a conversation about breaking through to the next level. Welcome to episode 100. It happens to all of us. That thought that is stuck in our head, running over and over, evoking powerful emotions that are not good for us. There is no end to it. You wake up, and there it is, still running from the night before. You get in the car to go for a drive, and there it is, a walk. It's hijacked your brain again. And it's taking you down a rabbit hole from which there feels like there is no escape. And you know the exact ones I'm talking about, don't you? And you know that it's holding you back, that something it's connected to is blocking your juices in all areas. Sadness, hurt, worry, pain, because thoughts that spiral obsessively typically fall into one of three buckets. Those painful moments from your past, or an uncertain future, or a decision you made, or one you are second or third or fourth guessing. Back in episode 99 on self-sabotages, I shared a few of mine, and I can tell you with 100% confidence that every one of those that involved my professional legalese drama, I had rehearsed many, many times in my head after I hit send. Second-guessing my decision, questioning, was I right? Or was I wrong? Never once stopping and asking myself why I was doing that and how could I just stop it cold turkey? Because what's in the past is in the past. It's done, and dwelling on it just robs you of the present moment. And when my longtime boyfriend and I decided to call it quits, the absolutely right decision, my head went into a hamster wheel that I was not able to stop. Was it grief? Possibly a little bit. Was it just time needed to process the change after 10 years and many before that as best friends? Probably a little of this too. But ultimately, I know that it took way too long to release that thought string. I remember one day being out on a long training hike in the mountains and realizing that the thought had vanished. Yet, in the time it took, I missed many, many opportunities. I wallowed in self-sadness and thoughts of being wronged or taken advantage of, and I know there was a better way. It feels like you are being or have been wronged, or that you have to make a point. There's a need to escalate, and you find yourself constantly reliving an experience, even feeling the same emotions, reliving mistakes and decisions, experiencing all the same emotions and feelings as the first time it happened in real life. Most think it doesn't happen to other people like it does to us, because there are times when the frequency and the intensity of the thoughts border on obsessive. Not a good word to have tagged to you normally. And in most humans, there is never any action taken as a result. We fortunately don't make news headlines. It's a private prison in our head that we never share, that we live in for a few minutes at a time, never more, and never for a lifetime. What is it? Your brain is stuck in worry mode, like the annoying circle on your computer or live stream when it's buffering, waiting for the video content to upload. Your brain literally cannot shut off on its own. I have an old laptop just waiting for the new one to come, and it gets stuck in that spot all the time because there's no room left for it to process stuff. Your brain needs the human version of Control-Alt-Delete, or hit the damn power button and reboot. Because when we're stuck in this place on a loop that has no end, we become tunnel focused. We have huge blind spots. It's like being on a Ferris wheel and there is no way to get off safely until it stops. So what can we do? How can we stop the Ferris wheel? Or can we? In my journey of discovery into my money blocks, my limiting beliefs, and my money stories, I was introduced to a whole bunch of pattern interrupters. Some that I know you already know. Maybe you use one or two of them. And some that are a bit more on the woo-woo, the more feminine energy side. And what all of them have in common is that they don't need any special equipment or a special environment or specific training unless you want to do a bit deeper dive into them. The goal or purpose of a pattern interrupter is exactly that: break the pattern, which in this case is a thought. And yet pattern interrupters work in all areas of your real life, not just for your thinking. A habit you're trying to break? It could be to eliminate a word from your speaking, like or ah. It could be to get yourself to take a breather before losing your cool with your kids or your partner or your dog. For real, pattern interrupters work. And the first step to interrupting a pattern is to identify it. Funny how so much of what we work on in our programs and in our lives is based on self-awareness, seeing ourselves, stopping to look in the mirror and really absorb what we're seeing. That's it. Identify the thing you want to interrupt. Yes, sorry. Right now I just put the cart before the horse in case you're thinking, because really, you're not having the thought right now, are you? So how could we possibly stop it? Well, what I want you to do is I want you just to park that thought for now. And I'm going to share the many pattern interrupters that are available for everyone to use, and a little bit about how to use them so that when that next thought spiral triggers itself, you got those tools right in your tool belt. Now, I've got 15 of them. Don't freak out. That I use regularly, and there are others that I don't use. So let's see what is in the pattern interrupter toolbox, shall we? How many of you have watched Orange is the New Black on Netflix? Then you're probably familiar with Suzanne, Crazy Eyes. Ever notice that when she can't figure something out, she smacks her head with her hands? Now, I'm not saying whack yourself on the head, but simply patting your head really does work. It shifts the focus from thinking to an action involving touch. And I know there's a bunch of you out there that have heard about putting an elastic on your wrist and snapping it to stop you from doing something when you have an urge. Well, anybody who's followed my dog training knows that I'm not a fan of negatives. So while this one has some value, it's not one that I use, but I did want to include it. So you can see that you've already been exposed to some pattern interrupters. There are times when using an affirmation or a mantra is enough to interrupt. And I believe that everyone should have one or two that underpin your values. For me, the mantra, how you do anything is how you do everything, is my number one. You guys, you've heard me say that. But for you, find one so that you can just test this one out. One that you can just, without even having to think much, you can just go, oh, okay, I need to just say that one a few times. Now, if you haven't already subscribed to get an affirmation a day for a full 90 days right to your inbox every single day, then I encourage you to go over to debbiecolburn.com/unlock-the-day and sign up. We'll get you going and you can pull one out of there. Now, get up and move. For real. Getting into physical activity, especially one that requires mental focus, is a perfect pattern interrupter. And I find that sometimes it does take 40 minutes or more of good active hiking to break the thought loose. At least that's me. It could be dance. I use Instagram Reels as a dance jolt. I know. I'm like so anti-Reels for me and my business. But there's value in Instagram Reels as a pattern interrupter if dance is one of your things. Or go for a walk, not a saunter or an amble, a real walk. Stairs, kickboxing, you name it. Or maybe none of those resonate. There is great power in simply just sitting with the thought. Hold it in your hands. Observe it. Ask it, what are you trying to teach me? With no judgment. How does it feel in your body? And then just simply release it. Say thank you. Maybe even forgive yourself for obsessing over it. You're waiting for it, aren't you? Where is it, Debbie? I know it's coming. Yep, it is. Journal on it. Do some worst thing, best thing scenarios about the thing at the heart of your thought. Worrying about whether there is enough money to pay all the bills or the mortgage at the end of the month. And then, what is the worst thing that could happen? Get it out on paper, then just let it go. And the best thing? Same exercise. So those guys are pretty basic, right? Powerful, yet basic. And I'm saving my most powerful 4 for the very end, so get ready. But here's a few more super simple ones that can also work. Change up your environment. Set some reminders on your phone. Just simply speaking the thought out loud and end with, now I've said it out loud and I'm letting it go. Talk the thought out with someone with curiosity and absolutely not as a bitch fest or a moan fest or I'm so the victim here. Help someone else with something which moves the focus off of you. Typically these days that's called be of service. Meditation. More often than not, the thought will disappear if you let it flow through like the clouds in the sky. I use the Headspace app when I need a guided meditation for times like this. Now, for my top 4, which in all honesty, I use in all areas of my life and business pretty much every day. When I find I'm stuck or I need to free up some space in my mind, these are my go-tos. And we go deep on these in most of our programs because, well, they really friggin' work. My absolute favorite and my go-to is what's called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, commonly referred to as tapping. And if you've ever done acupuncture, then you may be familiar with the pressure points in the body or the 7 chakras. Tapping is a super simple process where you tap on a series of points while saying a script that recognizes the negative feelings you are having and de-escalates the negative emotional charge that you feel about them. Then you can do the same thing, focusing on the positive feelings you want to have instead about the thing. A funny story, we were at the dinner table with my family, and I noticed across the table that my son was doing some tapping, which I had no clue that he even knew what it was. But apparently his paralegal, when he was going through his divorce, suggested it might be something that he could do. And the power of tapping is the fact that you can actually do it in public, and people they don't even notice that you're doing it. Now, my EFT coaches are Margaret Lynch Rainier and Brad Yates. And yes, 11 years ago, I would have said this was all hokey and I'd rather poke my eyes out. But as I worked through my money blocks and figuring out why I couldn't make more money and keep it, I had to explore areas that I had refused to consider before. 25 years as a professional accountant, where creativity is frowned upon, doesn't scream out, "Look at the woo-woo stuff, Debbie." Yet, that's exactly where I found the pieces that I needed. And I hope you can too. Next is visualization, seeing what you want to see and experiencing the feelings that go with that, even moving as you would in the thing. Now, this has been one of my superpowers in competition in the many sports, especially in my sports car racing and in dog agility, where you literally can't actually practice the courses physically before your runs. You have to be able to do it in your head. Another one is leaning into breath work. And breath work can break the hold the thought has on you. Focused breathing, using one of the several breathwork programs available, like Wim Hof's. You can find him, he's got a great interview on impact theory. Focusing on the number one most important element of the human experience, oxygen, can toss those thoughts into the garbage for good. And to wrap up, the tool that can transform everything in your life is the model. Brooke Castillo, founder of the Life Coach School's simple process of writing out 5 things. What was I thinking? The circumstance, the fact. The thought about the fact. The feeling, in one word. The actions you take as a result of the feeling and the thought, and the results that you got from one single circumstance. That's a whole training course on life coaching, but here's a simple example. The fact is, I have $1,500 in my bank account and rent is due in 4 days. Thought, I don't have enough to cover all my bills. The feeling is worry. The action or actions that I take as a result or don't take, I shut down. I don't do anything. I eat fast food. I work on things in business that aren't revenue generating. You get the idea. And the result is, I don't have enough to pay the bills. And the result always relates back to the thought that you had. It's what you could call a self-fulfilling prophecy. The last thing I want to point out is that every spiraling thought has a trigger. And it's important that you make an attempt to extrapolate what that could possibly be. Because more often than not, this trigger shows up elsewhere in your life, or it's a recurring trigger that you may or may not have the ability of removing from your life. For some guys, it could simply be your mother-in-law. Same for women. It could be your mother-in-law. Now, there's a lot here. My wish is that you take something away that today will encourage you to take the next step, to start building that bias for action into your daily life. You already know that your thinking is what drives everything. So we've created the daily affirmations for 90 days. You'll get it sent to you every single day for 90 days, and that will allow you to unlock every day with intention. You can just sign up for free at debbiecolburn.com/unlock the day. So we're here. It's the end. Time for that question that I ask everyone at the end of each episode. What is the best thing that could happen if you unlock just one of your shackles today? Hey, if this podcast got you thinking you're ready to improve your money or business situation, or both, please make sure you're subscribed and share it with everyone you think needs to hear this. The link is in the show notes, and drop a review in wherever you're listening. Make sure to check out the all-new Breakthrough Navigator, the Money and the Money in Business editions, where you can work directly with me to transform that money situation in your bank accounts that is keeping you up at night. It's super easy. Just head to our website at debbiecolburn.com/links. And while you're there, sign up to grab your very own free personal daily intention setter in your inbox every single day for 90 days. Absolutely free. I actually get them sent to myself. They are so friggin' amazing. Simple tools to transform both your personal life and your business.